Hello and welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I am your host, Paul Vibes, local motivational speaker. Our show is all about spirituality, self-development, connection, wellness. Please be sure to subscribe and follow us on a variety of different social media pages. If you know somebody that would be a great guest to our show or sponsor, please reach out. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Paul Vibes here. Welcome to another Zoom podcast. I have Sarah Curley. How are you today?
Hi.
Welcome. We met at Long Island Kava, and shout out to that place. Any opportunity I have to give that place a shout out, I'm always doing that because they're a great group of people. They have great products and a great place to relax. They're located in Patchogue. And there's your cat jumping around. Love it. What's your cat's name?
Callie.
Hi, Callie. It's funny because before we started recording here, we were joking about how, what are your titles? What do you want me to call you? What are your certifications? And we were joking that you wear so many different hats, right?
Yes, it's hard to pick one thing or to say 5 or 6 different things all at once without overwhelming people. I do a lot. Yeah.
They're just titles and just labels that it doesn't define who you are, right? And I feel like even sometimes those titles, they can kind of limit us. Because that's who you are. You got that degree or you got that certification.
Yes.
Or you don't have those things.
That's very true. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't always like to say that, because I'm like, well, if I say this, then that means I'm not this.
Yes. They're just titles. They're just labels, and they don't make you any better or worse than anybody else. But they are a good way and good tool of having people understand your skills.
Yes.
Stuff. And speaking of skill sets, and you do a lot of different things. It's hard to start off because you have a lot of cool things that you're involved in, a lot of cool hobbies. What is something that you feel lately that you're like the most passionate about lately? I'm sure you're passionate about a lot of the things that you do, but what is something you find yourself, especially in this time, diving into?
This time, right? That's a very interesting time to be alive. There's a lot going on, especially for people who feel that they're light workers or people who feel like they have a purpose to, empower people or lead people, help people follow their heart, give people peace of mind, help people connect to their own light. So I think I'm very passionate about that right now, as far as being, I wouldn't say, a spiritual teacher, but helping people empower and finding the light within, because there's a lot of fear out there right now, a lot of uncertainty. And I think people need that right now. So I'm really happy to step up and be that. I feel like that's my purpose. And I think we were talking earlier, I said, I don't know if it was you or someone else, I said, when this whole thing happened, there was part of me that was excited. And I know that sounds strange, but there's a part of me that was like, oh, I'm here. Like I was excited because I know that, I'm needed. And
I actually agree with 100% what you're saying. A lot of my other friends who are light workers, we talked about this, and you're right. You almost feel bad saying it, but
it seems strange.
But I really think that it's in times like this, right, when everything's going great and wonderful, and everything's going up, and you have no problems, and you don't learn as much as you do when things are shaken up. And as I know you're a licensed social worker, and as we were talking, I'm going to school currently to be a social worker as well. And you run into a lot of these issues where, it's normal. People say, oh, can you really relate to what I'm going through, this challenge or that challenge? Or maybe you sometimes feel like you can't connect someone because you haven't been there. You haven't been through what they've been through. Mm-hmm. This is something that we're going through as a collective. So nobody can, get out of a situation and say, well, you can't relate to what I'm saying, or I can't relate. It's like we're going through this together. And so it's a great opportunity for us all to learn. Do you kind of feel a similar way?
Yeah, 100%. I think also too, what you just said really resonated with me about when we go through challenging times, when we go through darkness, that's what unifies, right? That tends to what unifies, what helps us rise up. And so that's why I always say it's hard to do, but if you can kind of value your obstacles and your struggles and give gratitude to the dark times, because that's what shapes and molds you. And if you could take, there's people out there who take their suffering, who take their pain, and they turn it around and they use it to transform and to help and to talk to other people and give people hope. I think that's one of the most beautiful things that anyone could ever do. And I think that's maybe where we're at collectively now. And if I could help remind people of that or offer some way to remember that in any way, then I feel good about the work that I do.
Well, you definitely give up the energy and that vibe. You're always trying to help other people. It seems like, and it seems like all the work you've done, and we're gonna dive into that. But it's funny because I was mentioning to you earlier that I speak at schools, and I
Yeah.
share with the students that for me, and I'll just give you a quick for the viewers watching this who may not know. I overcame my own learning disability. And I think as a young adult, you already deal with things like bullying and self-doubt and confidence issues and challenges at school and things like that. But for me, having my learning disability really shifted the way I viewed things, right? Because at the time, I was like, why is this happening to me? I wish this didn't happen to me. My life is so much more difficult because of this. And I went through a paradigm shift. I went through, things shifted for me when I started doing volunteer work, and then ultimately was inspired to create my own non-for-profit, and then doing the things I do now as a motivational speaker and obviously the host of this podcast. So obviously people I speak to at schools, right, and people you help, you may not be able to relate to them exactly with the challenges they're going through, but at least we can offer them mindsets and motivation, inspiration, and different ways for them to shift the way they view their challenges. And that's kind of my main
Yes.
focus as a speaker
Shift their
is,
perspective.
yes, the perspectives. And maybe
Yeah.
share a little bit about your history and in regards to that and the work you do as a social worker and through the different
Sure.
books that you've written and things like that.
Yeah, I think perspective is everything because if you can change your perspective, you can change your reality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I've had struggles just like anyone else and self-confidence. I think my early 30s was the most challenging. I really, I didn't really have a sense of who I was. I got divorced, I quit my job, and the one thing that helped me was meditation. And I became so addicted to it, I would meditate for like 2 hours. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
but I really started to experience a detachment from just my personality and some sense of like there's something more. And I guess what I'm trying to say is when sometimes you reach that low point where things aren't working anymore, it's the ultimate gift because then you can discover who you really are. You know, then you're free to really say, well, now I know that there's more. Now I'm kind of, limitless in that sense. And I think what I've come to understand the most is that the more you're able to love yourself, even the really unlovable parts, because it's easy to love the shiny, pretty parts, right? But if you can really love your inner turmoil and your darkness and all those flaws, that's what really, I think that's what transforms everything. That's what transformed my life, learning to love all parts of me and not judge myself. And I love to share that with people. I love to teach that, especially, if we could teach kids that too. Because if you could teach a child that, then they become an adult that loves themselves, and learning to love yourself is ultimate freedom because then you make mistakes and any mistakes you make are okay because well, there's no judgment.
Mm.
I'm
That is
learning what
very
I'm supposed to learn. I don't have to beat myself up. I don't have to become anything better than I am. I'm good enough the way I am now.
true.
I want to be more. We always want to be, the best we can be. But if we can love ourselves enough, we are the way that we are now, then we can, I guess, bring in that energy and raise our vibration to attract that.
Yeah, I like that.
I
I
know I'm
see that a
kind of
lot.
saying a lot.
No, I like that. It's really good. Before I want to get into the books and the work you've done with young adults. That I see that a lot in schools. Going off of what you said, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of insecurities around themselves. And one of the biggest things, one of the second part of my talk, and my talk only has 3 major parts in it. The second part is the importance and the need for young adults to seek help. So I give them the different mindsets and tools and perspective of, listen, it's okay to seek help. Listen, even your parents, your mentors, your
Yeah,
coaches, they
no,
have help. They have mentors. They get support. And there's a big stigma around seeking help. And for me at a young age, going through my learning disability, I had to learn that because if I wanted to succeed in classes, I had to learn to get extra help, to seek help, to ask, hey, listen, I don't know this.
too.
Can I get assistance on this subject? So I try to inspire young adults to say, you know what, it's okay to seek help, even if it's somebody else coming to me for help, but I can't help my friend who's going through some stuff, whether it's depression or anxiety or other challenges that young adults face, that it's okay to seek help. And
Yeah, I think they feel
yes,
judged because when you're that age, right, you want to fit in.
yes,
Yeah, so it's hard. They feel judged, and then it's funny too because if I always say to my daughter, she's 14, if everyone's trying to fit in, like you're all the same. Like you're
yeah,
all
it's so boring.
it's like, but that's a tough age. High school, that's
Yes, yes.
yeah, that's really tough.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Tell us a little bit about some of the work you've done with young adults and children, and also maybe
yeah.
some of the different books, or and you also do drawings and other work, artwork.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, when I was going to school for social work, I did work with foster kids and young adults, and um, very challenging, very challenging. And but I've always resonated with kids. I've always I feel like I am a kid. I feel like
Mhm.
my inner child is like right here. Like I feel like there's a little boy or girl in all of us and it's like right there. Mine, it never went away. It's just like always right there. But
You see that a lot. I just might add to, and it's so sad because you see a lot of young adults where I always wonder, I said, wonder what they were like when they were my age. Just they become so jaded and serious and
yeah, it's a shame.
guarded, and it's almost like you feel
Sad.
tight being around them, unfortunately.
It's sad, yeah. So my inner child is right there, and I've always had this ability to have like a really good imagination, and I've always been drawing since I was little. When I was in math class, I would like just doodle like the whole time, and maybe in my early 20s, I started drawing these little people, and they were like I could show you like a drawing or two, but I called them so many different names, but now I call them the little guys, and there's just loving people that just remind us of the light within.
Mm.
And about 5 years ago, I wrote like 15 children's books. I just I
Just had to
just
let it all out. Amazing.
I just came through me, and each one is inspired on something called the I am presence. I am love. I am abundance. I am good enough. Because when we say I am, we're drawing attention to our perfection right now. I am
Mm.
not. I want to be. But I am.
It's kind of like the I am before I am this. I am straight. I am rich. I am. It's like the first I am before you fill in
Yes.
everything else, right? Like Eckhart
Yes.
Tolle would talk about is you're the I am. That's it, and not the whole I am this. I am that. We get
Right,
so
not
cluttered.
anything outside of that. Yeah, you're the I am is I am one. I am God, I'm connected to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Not anything outside of that, right? The inner.
I like
So I
that.
decided to write a series about teaching kids about that. And
Wow.
yeah, and each one it's like a little I am,
Can you share a
uh,
few from it? Do you have it available?
yeah, so I have some of the drawings I could show you.
Please.
So the first book, it's coming out soon. It's called I Am Me, and it's about you know loving yourself and not feeling judged. Um,
I love the title. I love it.
yeah,
We definitely need to have you in studio to do a little party for that
I
book.
would love
Have,
that. I
have some
love
of
to
your
do a
close
little
friends
reading.
on and
Yeah,
and have a little fun thing for it. That'd be
I'd
cool.
love to do a little reading. So I'll share
Please.
you. So this book, I Am Me. When my daughter was little, she had a lot of sensitivities about like her emotions. And I think it's important to teach kids about emotions and their feelings because sometimes when they feel emotions, your emotions can cloud your reality, right? They become so much for kids. They don't know how to process them that it can feel like your whole world is falling apart. But really, it's just your emotions. It's just an experience. But kids don't know that. It's hard for them
Yes, they
to
haven't built up the right mechanics. And,
filter.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the processing, the filters, that takes maturity. So I wrote this book for my daughter, and so one of the drawings is one of the drawings. I don't know if you could see it.
Beautiful.
So the line to this is, do your moods dance like flowers in the summer rain? And And the drawing after this, if you could see other parts that you don't love about yourself that cause you pain.
The negative self-talk, right?
Right.
I am not good enough, bad.
Right.
No.
And there's the little angel saying, yes, you are. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so I like to bring levity and innocence to serious, topics. And at the end of the book, I'll just show you the last page. This is fun.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is, you know, I now declare myself to be free. I willingly say out loud, I am beautiful. I am me.
I
So
love that. I think it's so important for, of course, young adults to work on expressing themselves and being in touch with their emotions. But I think even that book might be good for some adults, like we were just
yes,
talking about, is connecting with your inner
100%.
child. Because then you have so many people that have become so in tune with building up those mechanical ways and built-in reflexes and ways to deal with emotions, deal with life, that they become so numb. And
That's
whereas young
true.
adults
Yeah.
and children, they feel their emotions 150%. And as you get older, you learn to handle them better.
And
But
like suppress them.
yes, but then the
Yeah,
other way, the other extreme is then to become so hardened where you don't even let any emotions in and out.
that's true.
And I
That's a very good point.
try to keep balance between that, because when I speak at schools, I don't want them to become robots, but I also want them to, when they're feeling emotional, they're feeling different ways, how can they handle it in a healthy way,
Yes.
where they're improving their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health, but they're not becoming robotic and numb to life. And I think that's an
Right.
important balance that needs to be made. And each one of us, whether you're a kid or a
So
grown adult.
true. So true. 100%. Yeah, I think that, like I said before, the inner child, right? So how
Mhm.
can we allow and honor the inner child without experiencing the trauma and pain all over again, right? So
Mm.
you allow a space in your life for that inner little boy or girl, but you don't feel it to the point where you're feeling like the pain or the sadness. And that is balance, and that takes practice. I think
Mm.
it's a learned thing, how we do that, how we observe our emotions, we recognize them, we feel them, but we don't let them overtake us.
Mm.
That's an evolved person. That takes
Yes.
practice.
And that's an everyday. That's not like you read one book or you go to one seminar or you
Right.
if you get your book. It's something that you need to work on. And a lot of spiritual teachers, they, like you just mentioned, they talk about being the witness or the observer. And what
Yes.
that means to you, just like what you said, is you the emotions come in. You don't just pretend they're not there or suppress them and put them deep down inside. You
Right.
observe them and notice them,
Yeah.
but you don't let them overtake you.
Because they're just
And
an emotional experience. It's an experience. Like, what do they say, right? Like, emotion, energy and motion.
mm,
It's just, it's an emotion, it's an experience that we're supposed to have, but
yes.
it doesn't have to take us over. So I think meditation probably helps learning how to do that,
Mhm.
because when you're in meditation or meditative state, you're unplugging
Mm,
and you're learning how to unplug from certain thoughts and plug into
yes.
other thoughts. And
I
that's
want to, yes,
practice
and I
too.
want to save. I know we're going to do a surprise meditation. Not a surprise anymore. I just said it, but we're going to do a meditation at the end of this, guided by you, and we'll
Yeah.
talk more about meditation towards the end. But I wanted to hear, what are some of the other works you've done? So you like to do art. You've done stuff with, books.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Share more about the different work that you've done over
Yeah.
the years.
So, yes, yes. So I do trance channeling work. And so I know some people don't know what that is. So I have a quick way of explaining it. So a lot of us have heard of mediumship, right? Where people connect to
Yes.
loved ones. So instead of connecting to loved ones, I connect to divine energy, and I allow that energy to blend into my own consciousness, and I separate my ego. I step aside to allow this energy to talk through me.
Mm,
And I allow it to take over my speech and my mannerisms. And I've been doing that work probably for about 7 years.
wow.
And yeah,
Amazing. I
And
like what you said there about the ego. If you could talk more about that, because you see a lot of people, they do a lot of their work, even within the mediumship work, you see a lot of egos involved.
it's true.
I heard one medium say, I'm 150% accurate. And one of my friends watching this knows that person isn't going to laugh at that comment, but it's true. So many people, like, they put so much of their ego involved, and it clouds up the work
Mhm.
they're doing. And I like what you just mentioned there, is you kind of step out of the way. And I know
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle mentions that when people thank him for his book and the work he does, he says, thank you. I know what they
No,
mean, but he doesn't take it as thank
I
you,
know.
Eckhart Tolle. It's like yes, he wrote the book, but something else was being channeled through him, something
Right.
bigger than himself. So
I love
explain
him.
that, the ego, and why it's important for you, and why it's
Yeah.
important for you to interact with people that don't keep their whole ego involved in the things they do.
That's a great question. You know, it's funny that you mentioned him because I was just thinking about him the other day. I saw an interview with him and Oprah, and
Great
he,
interviews, yeah.
yeah, and she said, even when I called you and I said
Yes.
it's Oprah, he was like, she's
Okay.
like, listen,
He's like, no big deal.
yeah,
And
no
that's
big deal.
exactly, but that's the point, is he's living it. He doesn't, he's not, if he jumped up, oh my God, this is my dream.
Yeah,
I'm so big now and unpopular, then that'd be his ego.
right, right. Yeah. So I think, and I love how he explains ego in his book, The Power of Now, too. I think it's just it's identical. Yay! It's a great book. Yeah,
I highly
really
recommend
helped
everybody check
me.
it out.
It
So yeah,
really
share
helped
more
me.
about that.
I think when you attach too much meaning to things, when you're too closely invested in things, when you know aren't creating a large window for spirit, as one way to look at it. So if I'm a channel, right, and I bridge the gap between earth and spirit, my job as a channel is to have a very open vessel, right? So in order to do that, I have to vibrate high. So vibrating high, I have to have positive thoughts. If I have lower thoughts, like and try to be in control, like, oh, I'm in control, I got, like, this is all me, that makes a small vessel for me to bring in light. So me stepping out of my ego, it just means me letting go of control, you know, letting go, because I'm just I'm the vessel, you know, like I'm the channel, you
Mm.
know.
And
And
we as
if I
humans are
can,
limited in the sense, not that, you know what I mean by that, but I feel like when you step aside, you allow the unlimited to kind of flow through you,
yes,
right? And
yes.
this is perfect for what's going on in today's world. And I just wanted to get your perspective. How do we step out of this situation of being uncomfortable, out of control? People feel
Mhm.
right now more than ever, I think, especially during our lifetime, there's a sense of we are not in control, and that's not always a bad thing, right? Because as you mentioned, you know,
Right.
then that allows for the opportunity to basically trust in something deep within yourself. So
Yeah.
if you feel comfortable maybe sharing how our current situation with the coronavirus, and just challenges in general, because I think this could be used for any challenge, how do we go about letting go of that control? How would you go about that?
Yeah, it's such a great question, and it is a great learning environment in the world to practice that right now,
Mhm.
because a lot of people are out of work and they're at home, so they're kind of forced and faced with dealing with their thoughts. When you are busy in the world, you have the external world to distract you, right? There's a whole world of distraction that
Mm.
keeps us operating externally in the outside world distracted. But when all of the external distractions fade away, what are we left with? We're left with ourselves. So there's a lot of uncomfort right now because people aren't used to being in their body. They're not used to being in their energy. They're used to being in the external world and distraction. So the only problem with that is when you're relying on external sources to make you happy, or you're relying on external sources to keep you going. When the external is affected, you're infected or affected. I said
Mm.
infected, I meant affected. But do you see what I'm saying?
100%.
So if you,
It reminds you that saying, I mean, interrupt you, but as you were saying that, I just felt like saying, it reminds me of this statement that goes, most of the most of the suffering is caused by man's inability to sit alone in a room by
hmm,
himself. And that's where meditation and stuff comes in. And you see in this time, you see just how much we are unable to be still, or just to live a simpler life. We're exactly like you mentioned, we're used to having all these different outlets to distract ourselves. And right now, we're all kind of being shut down together in a way, and being tested, right?
Yes. And it's a gift, at the end of the day, it's a gift, because I've said this a couple of times and it always comes through. When all lights go out, there's always an inner light that you can turn on. So now we're learning how to do that. How do we turn on that inner light switch? There's also a book called Happiness Now, which is a great book that talks about everything you need inside. Yeah, Happiness Now by Robert Holden. Everything you need inside is enough to make you happy. Our happiness shouldn't come from the external world. It should come from our internal world, because the external world, right, like relationships, cars, jobs, money, it all comes and goes, right? It's all temporary.
Fleeting, yeah.
Yeah, it's all fleeting. But there's a place within us, our connection to source, just like we breathe in and we breathe out. It's always there. It's always going to be there. So now people are faced with having to do the work to do that. And I've been doing that work, so I'm okay. I'm in a good place. But my hope is that enough people will kind of start to see this now and start to go inside now.
Yes.
Because when we go inside, we raise our vibration, and that affects the planet. You, me, this conversation, our good vibes, but we're affecting the planet right now.
Good vibes always.
Yeah, good vibes.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that too, that you have influence. I haven't, we right now have influence how the planet chooses to move forward. I had somebody ask me a little while back, will the light overcome the dark? And Amana said something like, of course it will, because you're the light. Like, it all starts with you. Do you want the light to overcome the dark? It all starts with you. Don't put your fate outside of yourself.
Yes. You see that big shift happening where even speakers and authors, and you see that they keep putting the attention in social work, as we know. They say always start with the self, right? Always start with self. And where are the improvements that you can make in your own life? And I do think that we live in a world where everyone wants to be a social justice warrior. They want to make changes, and some of these changes, they come from a good place, right? We all want to make change in the world, but they say a lot. It's more important to start seeing what changes can you make in your own house. How are the relationships in your own family? How are your friends? How's your health? How's your relationship with your loved ones? How's your finances? So before we go and start pointing fingers, like that saying from the Bible, and as I think you're the same, you like to pull from different places. They say, why do you point out the speck in someone else's eye when you have a boulder in your own? And sometimes I have to stop myself and say, I'm criticizing this person, or I'm making a comment, or I'm having this thought about this person. But let me take a step back and say, have I done that before? Am I doing that in different ways? Have I been in his shoes and done things? So maybe I should reflect, and more importantly, look at the changes I need to make in my own life before I start pointing out the challenges in someone else's.
And not judge. And it's hard, right? Not to judge people, because we, it's easy to do that. But can I see me and you? If I could see a piece of me and you, I could see how we're connected. And so I can never strike harm or ill upon you if I knew we were really connected as brother and sister, because then that would mean I would be hurting myself. So if we as a planet really knew and felt how connected we are, think of how healing that would be.
Yes. Imagine the world where we treat others, like
an
we
animal,
do a loved one. I mean, we need to treat, and I heard something in social work was cool, is don't just treat somebody the way you want to be treated. Ask them how they want to be treated. And I like that, because, the way that you may want to be treated is different than someone else. It's always important to have communication and to make sure you connect with other people. And because, like I said, the way that you may want to be treated isn't maybe the same that other people want to be treated. So that's always important.
Yeah, and I think also what you said before in social work, starting with the I, because it's less overwhelming, right? If I can always start with one thing with myself. Like if I look outside myself and all the things I need to accomplish,
yes, it'd be overwhelming.
It becomes really overwhelming. but there's always one thing that I could do, you know, I could always breathe, you know,
Yes.
I could always start with that,
Mm.
you know.
And that's in the present moment, because when you focus on your breath, you're focused here in the now. And
How
speaking of Eckhart
now?
Tolle, and I think of all the things that we're talking about, and tell me if you agree or disagree, I think it all comes down to being in the now, because you're right. It is overwhelming with the issues going on in today's world if we project ourselves in the future, or also think about the past. I wish things were back the way they were
Yes,
before this happened. That's
yes,
still taking yourself out of the now. And when you are fully present, whether it's, and then we're going to go into that meditation later, but whether it's through meditation or focusing on your breath and focusing on one thing at a time, you're never going to miss anything, because you're always focused on the
yes,
only time that matters, which is the now. Because when the future
so
does
true.
happen, when tomorrow happens, it's only going to happen in the now. When the past happens, it happened through the now. But when we're constantly taking ourselves out of the now and thinking about next week or even next hour, that's not being
So
present.
true.
And as we spoke earlier about balance, it's definitely important to be balanced, because yes, there are times where we need to, like, we had to schedule this Zoom call, right?
Mhm.
There had to be some planning, but it didn't
Right,
take
right.
over our whole level of consciousness where it prevented us from being present throughout our day, right?
Right. Yeah, you beautifully said. Um, you know, when you're in the now moment, you're the most centered. Your energy is the most centered. It's the most collective, most grounded. You know, you mentioned thinking about the future and then also worrying about the past. That's take I always say to people, like, you're scattering your energy in the future and the past. You're taking it and you're putting it worrying in the future, and then you're putting it regret in the past, and you're missing out on the moment to just be happy now. And that's why gratitude practices are really powerful. You know, like being grateful. Okay, there's a lot going on with the virus and everything, but I have food, I have my house. Like that centers my energy. It
Mm-hmm.
takes me away from the future and the past because I'm paying attention. Oh, the sun is shining, you know? You know, there's something good about right now. And that's where you're the most powerful in the now moment energy, because that's where creation happens right
Yes, yes. And
now.
you're always able to act from a place of power when you're in the
Yes.
now, because when you're in the past or in the future, for whatever reason, you got great intentions, but your level of consciousness, and I started thinking about this because there are all these different ideologies and people watching this, all the books you've read and videos, it can be kind of overwhelming, right? All these different practices. And one thing I've been thinking about lately is nothing is more important than my level of consciousness in the present moment. And what I mean by that, whatever challenge arises, whatever obstacle comes my way, whatever situation, whether it's good or bad, I know that if I'm overtaken by that experience, and like I said, whether it's good or bad, and I'm not present, I'm easily able to be sucked out of the present moment. But if I'm
Yes.
focused on being conscious and being present, then
Yeah.
whatever comes my way, and it's obviously very important when a challenge
We're
comes to be
grounded.
present, you're more grounded. And I had known from personal experience, I look back at challenges and I'm like, wow, if I was in a place of
Yeah.
groundedness and presence, I think I would have handled that situation. And what I wanted to ask you too, are what are some, besides the meditation things that we're going to go towards the end of the Zoom call, what are some other either mindsets or tools or perspectives that we can talk about to help people who are going through these challenges? Is there anything else that
I mean,
comes
right
to
now,
mind?
what's going on
Yes,
now?
exactly.
You know, I think staying connected um, to a community, staying connected to like-minded people, and we're so lucky to have this, right?
Yeah, how
We're so,
grateful. I mean, people may not even know where the next meal is going to be, and we have the ability to do this.
I know, because you know, when I sometimes I think isolation can be detrimental because I think you can forget certain things. So you need like-minded people to remind you, hey, it's going to be okay, you know, or hey, I have the same fears as you. So I think definitely staying connected to a like-minded community. I've been putting all my classes on Zoom now, which is great. I should have
Mhm.
been doing that stuff all along, and now, so thank
Yes,
you. You
right?
know, so being part of a community, I think, you know, trying to get outside as much as you can, connecting to nature, that really helps me.
And Sarah,
Connecting to
we are gonna do a walking video once things clear up. We're gonna do a
yay,
nice, you and I are gonna take my nice GoPro
Oh,
We're
that would
gonna
be
be
awesome. I love
we're gonna
that.
film a nice outdoor video and we can put some of your artwork in it. We can do a meditation in it. It'd be very interactive and fun. But you're right though. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay. Connecting to the nature, connecting to animals, because animals are in the now, right? They're just so centered and grounded. Getting your mind, it's okay to distract yourself. Like, it's okay to forget about things for a while. And, you don't even have to be spiritual. Like, you could just turn on a funny movie and laugh. It doesn't always have to be meditation. Like anything that gets you to switch and change your energy, because that's what it's really all about, changing your thoughts, changing your energy, because like you said, you're creating everything in the now moment.
Mhm.
So I think that's what people forget. They're so worried about the future, but your thoughts, feelings, and emotions right now create the future.
Exactly. So it's like once you start, it's funny paradox, right?
Right. So if you can, feel good now, and whatever that means for you, if that means going for a walk, if that means turning on something that makes you laugh, just trying to feel good and unplugging from the fear,
Yes. And I
shutting off
think that the help, we got to be careful with that too, because I think you're right. I think some people might be finding very healthy ways, right? Very healthy outlets. But I think unfortunately, a lot of people during this time might go back to very unhealthy vices,
yeah,
right? So we need to make, yes, someone could escape their mind by playing video games all day or using illegal substances or self-harm or any other unhealthy gambling. And
right.
yes, those things do take you out of the mind, but they're going to cause short
Those aren't
and long term
healthy. Yeah,
damage.
right. Very true.
Yeah, so it's definitely important for them to find. And a lot, they watch the podcast I have with you and other people. I always try to have guests on like yourself that share healthy ways. And you shared a lot of great things so far. And you mentioned something earlier, which I want to go off a little bit on. You said, some of the services. If you don't mind sharing with us some
Sure.
of the either workshops or one-on-one things you do, because I know you offer some really fun
Yeah.
services for the community, and I'm definitely going to look into joining some of this stuff. We'll work something out, but
Yay.
we will
Yeah.
definitely promote it in this video. So share with us some of the stuff that you offer for the community.
Sure. So lately, I've been every Friday evening around 8. I've been going live on Facebook. And I also offer Zoom to people who don't have Facebook. So I've been doing that every Friday, and that's been great. People are really receptive to that. I always offer individual sessions, like I've done spiritual counseling, empowerment, I've done mentoring. People want to learn how to channel. I do healing work, energy healing. I do the Reiki, but I also channel my own healing through Amana. I speak light language. That's
You
a
did
whole
the
nother.
singing bowls on Facebook the other day, right? Weren't you doing singing
No.
bowls or
So I
music?
sing. I sing. Yeah. So I use my voice as a sound healing. So
Mm.
I sing. I do light language. I could talk about that at another time. That's a whole
We do a
thing.
whole. I'm telling you, and I mean this.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you back in the studio once this is renovated. And like you said, this is a great time to focus on other things. And I'm using this time to do some work in the set. And we're gonna have you back. Trust me. I know we have a million things to talk about, but
Yeah, I have a
we're
lot of
excited.
things I do. I have classes. I channel Amana for groups. People ask questions. You know,
What
um,
is a mod for people who may not know what that
oh,
is?
yeah, I know. I say it
You gotta
like it's
assume
like,
they know nothing.
I know. So, I've come to understand Amana as divine feminine, like as we're evolving as a culture, we're understanding that, God isn't a person, right? God isn't a man, right? God is a source energy, source of creation. And within that source of creation energy, there's both male and female energy, right? Because
Yes, yin
God
and the
really
yang, right?
isn't,
Yeah.
yeah, the yin and the yang. And Amana is the feminine energy of source. She's the feminine creation energy of source. That's the simplest way to explain it. And she comes through kind of like a goddess type energy, very vibrant and buoyant, loving, so happy. I channel people like, oh, she's so upbeat.
I love that. I definitely feel in touch with that side. People tell me I'm very in touch with my feminist side. I'm like, I guess I am. I don't know.
That's great.
I'm all about it. I think because I grew up with a lot of strong females in my life and
Oh,
a
that's
lot of love from
beautiful.
feminine energy. And I look at it that as a masculine thing, is being able to be in touch with it's like
Yeah.
it's like painting, right? It's like, do you want to limit your palette, right? Do you want to limit the colors that you express yourself with, or you want to be open to
True.
the whole? I want the whole coloring box. I want to be able to
Yay.
be more masculine when I need to, and more feminine when I
Yes.
need to. And I think
And
that's
so,
important.
yeah, that's a really good point too, because what I'm talking about isn't gender, it's an energy. So we all have male and female
Mm-hmm.
energy within us. It has nothing to do with our gender. So as a male, you have feminine energy. As a female, I have masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, it's about balancing the two and knowing when to use the masculine energy and knowing when to use the feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when to surrender and knowing when to be assertive. It's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So I channel mana for people. Um, I do spiritual artwork. Channel messages for people. Sometimes people want to know about their guides. I do mediumship as well. I've done spiritual bereavement groups, talk about grief.
That's
Um,
important.
yeah,
It's very important.
grief and bring in spirit for people who want to connect with their loved ones. I've done that. I love doing that. People have a lot of questions about the other side. They want to know what it's like there. They want to know if their loved ones are okay. They want to learn about how to grieve in a healthy way. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
That's really good
So
stuff. I like it. I feel like the theme of today's podcast with you, and we'll have many more to come. I feel like it's about balance, right? It's about balance, about being present, being in the now. And when you are in the present moment, you are balanced, and you're able to, like you said, you're talking about grieving. I think you're able to come from a place of oneness and connectiveness when you are present. You're able to figure out
yeah,
what balance needs to be made, right? Because when we're too in our mind, we're too distracted, it's hard to be centered and balanced.
you're on the
And
hamster wheel.
yes, the hamster wheel.
The
And now
thought.
everyone's hamster wheel has been a little stopped working right now.
Yes.
And people who you said are unfortunately going through a lot of challenges right now. And as we know, challenges are the greatest lessons, right? And life will keep giving you those lessons until you got the lesson that it's trying to give you. So
Yeah.
I think that before we go into the meditation, I just ask people watching this to see what lessons are being given to you and your family and your loved one.
Mhm.
And you don't need to be a very spiritual person to see that. I mean, the world is going through, the environment, the planet, our government, our politics,
Yes.
the economy. So many things are being turned upside down, and it's not just happening for no reason. It's not just a coincidence. It's not just random.
Right.
This is the environment with climate change and all these different changes going on in the world. There's something that the earth and the universe is trying to teach us.
It's a
Um,
reset. It's a purge. It's you know,
a cleansing,
we,
yeah.
yeah, cleansing. So in order to have a rebirth, this is growing pains, is labor pains, and all the illusions now are being lifted.
Oh yeah.
So now we're seeing the truth, and going forward in the new energy, there's only going to be transparency. It's going to be vibrating so high here. There's not going to be no more energy, no more room for deception,
Mm.
and everything now is crumbling away. And that's a beautiful thing. So for people right now who can't get in touch with knowing that, I think that's why it's important to unplug from the news and unplug from all that stuff, because it keeps you in that negative space. But now, can you see the positive? Can you change your perspective and perception to see what good is going to happen from this? Because there's always a gift, right? There's
Yes.
always a gift. No.
And I'm excited like you to see what changes come out of this. And I think this is a great opportunity. I'm going to mute myself to allow you the floor to do a little meditation, whatever you feel channeled in the moment to do. And I think that if people enjoy our podcast, I know I did, I definitely want you back. And I definitely recommend any viewers who enjoy this meditation that we're about to do, or like any of the things that you spoke about, to definitely reach out to you and to stay connected with the wonderful things that you are doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
how do you feel about leading us into a
But I'd love
meditation?
to. Yeah.
All right.
So I channel my meditations. I just stay in the moment. And for anyone who's never meditated before, all you have to do is just, relax, listen to the sounds of my voice. Every time your thoughts come in, you're just going to go back to your breath. And you're going to imagine, not trying to get rid of our thoughts, right? Because the more we try to get rid of our thoughts, the more they come in, right? So we're just going to allow, and we're just going to imagine that if any thoughts come in, they're just going to be like clouds on a beautiful spring breezy day. And they're just going to gently roll away with the breeze anytime those thoughts come in. So all you have to do now is just listen to the sound of my voice, trust in your imagination, know that you never make anything up, that everything always comes from spirit, comes from the heart, and the imagination is the gateway to the spirit realm. So just take a nice deep breath in through your heart center and just breathe out and release through your heart center. Just imagining right now that you're breathing in and out of your heart. Just calling more intention to your breath. It's not very often we pay attention to our breath. We tend to take it for granted. So now see if you can feel that connection as you breathe into your heart. And as you breathe out, imagine it like the waves of the ocean, the tides. As you breathe in, the tides pull in. As you breathe in, the tide goes out. And as you breathe in and out, your body just begins to softly relax. And if any thoughts come in, you just imagine them again like a beautiful, cloudy spring day, and they're just being shifted away to bring in more light, more sun. And just again, taking nice deep breaths in and nice deep breaths out, connecting more and more to the heart center. And now your body's getting so relaxed. Any tension, any tightness, any soreness is now just melting away, almost like you're slipping into a nice warm bath. And just feel all your muscles relax. And now I just want you to imagine a beautiful white light mixed with gold emanates from above you, like a beautiful sunlight. And just imagine streams of this sunlight pouring down on the top of your head. And see if you can just use your imagination to feel the warmth, to feel that sunlight as if you were outside on a beautiful summer day. And as you feel that sunlight pour over your head, it relaxes you, it takes away all your fears, and you just melt into it and let it cleanse and clear any anxiety, any worry as it drips and melts over your face. And now feel that warmth, that beautiful light cascading down your throat like a brilliant waterfall, cleansing and clearing your throat, allowing you to speak your truth, relaxing you. Feel it melting over your heart center, allowing you to give love and receive love. And just imagine there's a beautiful gate in your heart center, a beautiful doorway. You can picture it any way with your imagination. You just want to imagine that you open this beautiful door, this beautiful gate. Open it wide open. And as you open it, beautiful golden light pours through your heart center. Whatever else you see here, just see all this light, all this love. Feel all that light usher out until it fills up the room. Feeling that beautiful glow around you, knowing that this is your light, this is your love. And I want you to just cocoon yourself in your love, cocoon yourself in your light. Wrap yourself up in that beautiful protective love energy, that beautiful cocoon of golden love light energy that is you. And just feel what it feels like to be in this love energy. Feel what it feels like to fill up the room with your beautiful light. Just make it so large that it fills up the room and it goes past the room, emanating so brilliantly, so beautifully. Feeling so loved right now. And anything less than this love, any fear, any worry, there's no room for it now. You just see it burn up, fade away. Feeling so nice, connecting back to your breath. And I'll allow this light to go now even further into your solar plexus, into your rib cage. Melting any anxieties here. feeling a brilliant ball of sunlight, personal sun right in your solar plexus, emanating and glowing, feeling this huge loving light here. And now bring this light again into your low belly and down into the base of your spine. Feeling stable and secure, feeling your connection to the chair you're sitting in. As you feel this beautiful light connect from your spine all the way down into your legs, into your knees, into your feet. And I just want you to imagine beautiful pillars of white light shoot from your feet. And you're going to send them into beautiful, loving Gaia, Mother Earth. Just see if you can connect to her. Imagine her. Perhaps she's a beautiful mother and she cradles you and tells you everything's going to be okay. Perhaps you're in the center of the earth, in a beautiful cave, surrounded by crystals. Just feel the energy there. How supportive and loving is the earth of you? You're just going to take all of her motherly love, all that unconditional love, how she supports you, and you're going to bounce it back like a trampoline, back through your feet. Feel like connect to your body as it makes its way all the way up your body, the same way the light did, through your knees, into your spine, into your low belly, into your solar plexus, up into your beautiful open heart, open gateway of your heart, up through your throat, cascading over your face into your third eye and shooting out the top of your crown, top of your head, taking a nice deep breath, feeling a beautiful shift from where you were before we started to where you are now, knowing that you're fully connected now to divine and Gaia, feeling your open heart, and just observing this energy. Again, just detach from your thoughts, allow them to be, and just observe your body right now. Just observe your breath. And just spending a moment melding in this beautiful energy you've created, knowing you can come back here anytime you want. You're always able to connect because you are always connected. And you are loved. Taking a nice deep breath, coming back into your body. Shifting, feeling the seat, feeling the air on your skin and wiggling and wiggling. And you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So this is an easy practice that anybody can do. And it doesn't take long. And there's always an excuse whenever I used to teach classes. I don't have time to meditate. Well, you do now.
Yes, now you have all the time in the world, and that seems like a problem for some people.
Yes, right.
So where can people find you if they want to learn more about your workshop, services, the books? What's the contact information?
Yeah, so I have a website, www.lightofamana.com. I also, Sarah Bloomfield Curley on Facebook. I have a center too, Awakening Center on Facebook. I just, we had to close down because I haven't been doing work from there. But I have Awakening Center on Facebook, Sarah Curley, LMSW, Intuitive Count.
You have a physical location, right?
Yeah, and we're in Suffolk County. We're in Holbrook.
Wow, I'd love to check it out once this clears up.
Where are we? Holtzville, Holbrook? I forget. I haven't been there in so long.
Oh my God. So where is it again?
It's in Holtzville. Yeah. So we have I share the space with a beautiful healer. We do classes out of there. Her name's Debbie. We teach classes together. She teaches classes. I teach classes.
Nice.
I'm also on Instagram, Amana Ashea, and people can email me at amanaashea@gmail.com.
Well, I'll post that in the description of the video. People can view that as well.
And I'm hoping to eventually have a website for my books and my little guys, and it's just growing, and I'm so excited.
I would love to get a piece in the studio here. We can work something out because I would love to showcase some of your art
Oh, I love that. That would be
We
great.
can make
Yeah.
something work, because I love to incorporate the good energy from a lot of these different artists and healers that we have on, like yourself. So if you would be so
Oh,
kind, we'll talk
I
about
would
that.
love that. Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you. And then it's a great way for people to come into the show. They get to see your artwork. And what's really cool is, like I said, the podcast is really a collaboration. We had an artist paint the table. We had obviously
Oh,
have somebody doing all the custom woodwork. Shout out to my friend Papa John. He does like great woodwork, sacred tree geometry, which is really
that's
cool.
awesome.
Treometry, actually, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Play on words there. But again, I really want to thank you so much for coming on
Oh, thank
the show,
you.
and I hope
Yeah,
that
I
you
love your energy.
do. I knew that we would vibe really well.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
And we'll definitely do another one of these Zoom calls in the near future. Maybe in April, we can talk about some other subjects. And then, of course, once this clears up, which is hopefully sooner than later, but however
Yeah.
long this needs to play out, it's going to happen. We'll get you in-house in person.
Oh, I love that. Yay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.
Let's send good vibes to all the viewers. Be sure to
Yes.
subscribe. And yeah, hopefully people are viewing this all over. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be uploading these podcasts from now on Spotify, iTunes, and a bunch of other sources. So be sure to check it out all over. And again, Sarah, I will see you soon.
Bye. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Paul.